Brock Purdy has been making the media rounds since signing his fat new contract. Yesterday, he had a message for some of his biggest critics. Plus, we give Fred Warner a little love, and I have a bone to pick with one Michelle Majuk. We'll get to it all on today's Gold Diggers podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera alongside Michelle Majuk. It is Friday of a holiday weekend, so this show is going to be about 10 minutes long, Michelle.
Oh, yeah. We got mimosas to drink.
Well, that's every day for you. What is it, Memorial Day when you drink a mimosa with like holding an American flag?
And I act like I'm waiting to drink it anyways. I already have one.
Right. This is number one or number two on the day. It's my only question.
No, it's number one. I just poured it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us, for hopping in here. We do have some Brock Purdy comments to talk about. He was on 95.7 The Game yesterday. Fred Warner made his contract official yesterday. Got to see him sign with the big red feather pen, so that's always good. Plus, Michelle is ruining my personal life, which we'll get to on a whole other level later in the show. You can see the chat on the screen if you're watching. It's a new feature that we just added, so feel free to throw the comment up. You'll see it pop up on the screen. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show. All right, let's dive right into it, Michelle. Brock Purdy has been talking to the media. It's been going on KNBR. He's been going on 95.7 The Game, given various interviews. And I got to say, first of all, we'll play the audio so you could hear it. But if you ever wanted to know the difference between asking good questions, go listen to his interview on KNBR and then listen to the one on 95.7 The Game. I don't know what the hell the people on KNBR were doing, but they just wasted everyone's time. The 95.7 The Game interview was 10,000 times better. Come on, people. Ask good questions.
It's really not that hard. I feel like you just prep, right? Get yourself, think a little bit before he gets there. Come up with some good questions that you know he can actually give answers to. My thing is, I hate when people ask questions where you know you're just going to get the boring, politically correct, not politically correct. That's not the right thing to say. But he just is answering correctly to make sure his coaches don't get mad, right? Basically.
Right. Yeah. Politically correct. I understand what you meant. Okay. And it's just he's already been a lot of places. So don't ask the same questions that he's been asked everywhere else. But they didn't on 95.7 The Game, mostly because I think they listened to what he said and then they asked follow-ups. But let's dive right into it, man. This one I thought was really interesting. This is just Brock on his mindset. Hey, do you have to do more now that you signed this big contract?
My whole goal, since I got in, was to continue to just do my job as a quarterback, help this team win and help this machine keep rolling. Obviously, if there's anything that comes up adversity-wise with our team, I feel like now, and I have been, last couple of years, but can be a guy that can step up and speak at the right time and help lead guys into the direction that I think we need to be going to. But my mindset, man, I'm not going to lie, the process that I've had the last couple of years and so I'm going to continue to do that. Obviously, I want to keep getting better as I get older into my career, but just because I get paid more doesn't mean I should change my process or my mindset or anything. So I'm going to continue to do what I have done.
I thought that phrasing was interesting. Keep the machine going. They were a machine when he got in there, Michelle. And I hope he has that attitude because guys can fall into the trap of trying to do too much after they get paid.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't get into his head, right? All the pressure on him to be okay, I'm the guy now. I need to earn this paycheck. I need to do too much. Because I felt like last year we kind of saw that get in his head too, but the opposite way where it's he had to have had the contract in the back of his head. I need to earn my big contract. I can't mess this up. All these things were... He can say it wasn't through his head, but we're all human, right? I don't get how that wouldn't be sitting in the back of your head or scared that you could get massively injured when he was all worried about his elbow, right? That had to come into thought when he's oh yeah, I couldn't feel it. It had the contract had to come into thought, all these worries. So hopefully he still can go in with the same mindset of still having a chip on his shoulder and still saying, I still have something to prove, but also at the same time being more relaxed. So he's not so worried about making mistakes.
You can go back and look during that Lions game at the end of the game. He has a look on his face on the sideline after he gets hurt. He looks terrified. And I don't blame him. I'm sure he was like, oh my God, my arm, this feels like it did against Philadelphia, which he later said it felt like his arm was on fire. He knows what's at stake. Well, number one, his career in general. Number two, the contract, his job. Like, he looked terrified on the sideline. That was one of the things I remember watching that game. When I saw his reaction, I was like, oh man, this could change everything for this franchise.
I mean, it definitely, if it ended up being that again, then he doesn't get paid, right?
Oh yeah.
Guy who had UCL in 3 years in the NFL. So yeah, that would have totally changed his life, would have changed, definitely would have changed how the 49ers had to approach the quarterback position this year. So everything would have definitely been different.
Yes, completely. And as far as we know, he didn't need any offseason procedure. He wasn't specifically asked that, though, which that's one of the things I wanted to know. But he did say he's feeling 100% for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. But yeah, that was a big thing when it happened. And I like to hear Brock say that basically he's just trying to get back to,
let's stop letting his elbow get hit on stuff. Thank you.
That would be fun. I was thinking about the comment he made in his media session at the 49ers facility when he said, I got to get back to my fundamentals, and that he was watching his rookie film. And I thought about that, and I was like, wait a minute. Why wouldn't he watch like the 2023 film, right? When he was like an MVP candidate and played great. The fact that he said he went all the way back to the rookie year. Now that I think about it, I think that's even more interesting. For some reason, he must feel like that year he was more locked in, I guess.
I think, but him coming in off the bench and doing what he did, I mean, that's impressive. And I think he should go back and watch everything. I think last year is almost more important to go back for him to watch and be like, okay, what was I doing wrong in these big moments in the fourth quarter? Like, was it me? Was I just off page with some of my playmakers? Like, what do I have to work on? That's what I want him to go back and watch. It's great to go back and watch when you're good, or like when you're performing at, where you felt comfortable, but he needs to go back and watch the games where he struggled.
100%. Yes. You watch more you learn more from the struggles a lot of times than from the victories. By the way, just side note, CJ West, 49ers rookie, actually said at one point he makes lowlights of himself and he goes and watches those because when he watches the film, like, he wants to learn from those, which I thought was a cool little tidbit there. But that's just an aside. But another reason.
Wait, who said that?
CJ West, the defensive tackle that they took. I was like, hey, you know what? I like this guy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Foot, thank you very much for the super chat. Foot says, save your message for your critics, Brock. Just show it to us this season. I think that's his intention, quite honestly. Let's listen to a little more of Brock on 95.7 The Game. This is Brock. He mentioned how certain things that people say about him make him laugh. And so the host asked, like, what are the things that kind of make you laugh? And the system quarterback thing, Michelle, I think really gets under his skin.
The whole system quarterback thing, like early, in my career, it was just funny, hearing that. And I'm not going to lie, like, I took that as, all right, like, I'm a guy that can come in and like do what the coach says and win games because of that. So to me, that was more of a compliment, and I've sort of ran with that. But I don't know. Outside of that, I don't buy into really anything that anyone says. That's been the story of my life, man. Like, from being a late recruit from high school to college to the last draft pick, like that's the story of my life, and I guess that's part of my story. But I just continue to be who I am and not compare myself.
It sounded to me like the more he talked, he was like, it was, you could tell it bugged him.
Listen, Tom Brady was called assistant quarterback all through 6 Super Bowl rings, right? It wasn't until he went to Tampa Bay and won without Bill Belichick that people stopped calling him a system quarterback. It really did take him going to another team, getting away from Bill Belichick, for people to realize, oh, Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, right? And he already had 6 rings. So I don't think Brock Purdy is ever going to beat those allegations of being a system quarterback as long as it's with Kyle Shanahan. And that shouldn't bother him, because if you can perform great in the system and that's the system you're in, who cares?
I do think I understand the frustration, right? Just look at it from his perspective. You are a quarterback. You are a player. You get in the game, right? You're going to go in. The coaches say, hey, do this the way we tell you to do it, when we tell you to do it, and you'll be fine. And then you get in the game. You do exactly what the coaches want, exactly when they want it done, exactly the way they want it done. And you succeed, and the team succeeds. And then everybody's like, yeah, but all he's doing is just running the system. You got to be like, damn it, man, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do.
And you do worry, like, I hope those words don't get into his head either. We have a comment here, like, saying, I wonder if that's why he wasn't checking down as much last year, right? Was he trying to prove that he could be the man and he could lead this team and he doesn't need the check downs? But he has to realize the best of quarterbacks take check downs. I mean, the amount of times that Patrick Mahomes throws 5 feet away and lets his playmakers do stuff like that, the best quarterbacks know when to check down and when not to.
Yeah, I actually saw this tweet from PFF yesterday. Last year, the lowest check down rate in the league was Caleb Williams at 7.1%. The second lowest was Brock Purdy at 7.2%. And I remember talking about this, Michelle, during the year last year about how, man, Brock is getting into trouble when he's passing up these shorter throws, hunting for the deeper throws down the field. And I don't know if it was because of the injuries that were there, or I don't know if it was because he didn't feel comfortable checking it down to running backs that weren't Christian McCaffrey. But I noticed that during the year last year, and we talked about it like, damn, Brock, just throw it to the guy right there and you live to play another down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you let, like, Patrick Mahomes had one of the highest check down rates last year, and he doesn't get hated on. But it's Brock Purdy needs to check down more. It's that simple. And maybe it was just Christian McCaffrey not being there, but I don't think Jordan Mason was that bad where he couldn't check down to him at all, or did Shanahan not have another outlet for Purdy? I don't know. I would have to go back and watch the tape to see, like, were there guys available for him to check down to? Maybe that just wasn't available to him last year, but I highly doubt that in Shanahan's system.
I wonder if it was just in general, Brock hates the check down, right? Like he just doesn't like it. But when you've got 23 coming out of the backfield, you're like, all right, you know what? This guy's good enough to just make a hell of a play. So even though I hate the check down, I'm still throwing to Christian McCaffrey. And so maybe that's sort of like balanced out that thing.
You can hate the check down, but man, it matters so much. Like the check down ruins, like that gets in the defense's head when they have you all covered and you check it down and you get 8 yards, 8 yards, and you just keep like just destroying them that way. And then that's how you get those big plays. So I don't care if he doesn't like the check downs. Shanahan needs to get in his head and say, dude, you got to just take what you have. And that was Josh Allen's biggest issue to start his career. He refused to take the check downs, right? And his accuracy was off and he fixed all that. It was a different situation. But all of a sudden, Josh Allen has been much more willing to take check downs in the shorter ones. And guess what? It's made his game so much better.
Because there will be opportunities to make plays, but you can't do it you can't force the issue every time. There are certain circumstances in the game where it's called for, right? Third down in the red zone, maybe, or, in certain game situations, there are times when maybe you have to force it a little bit, but most of the time is not that time. It's, hey, first quarter, first drive, just check it down. Yeah, it's a 3-yard gain. Okay. But it helps you avoid the negative plays. And I think that is something that has gotten Brock into trouble last year. Hopefully it's somewhere where he learns and grows. And maybe that's part of what he's talking about, right? Being on his reads and, hey, it's open. There it is. Take it. And he'll be better off. You would think that now going into year 4, like that should be out of his system, but maybe it wasn't for whatever reason last year.
I think last year, again, it was just so in his head that he had to be the man and he had to step up and prove that he wasn't just the system quarterback and he had to prove to get his contract. I think that was in his head. And without Christian McCaffrey there, I just think there was just so many things going against him last year. Hopefully this year he feels much more comfortable. This is his team. He knows no one's taking his job. It doesn't matter what people call you. It doesn't matter if you check down, right? Like just check down and you're going to look so much better at the end of this anyways, if that's just what you end up doing.
Mm-hmm. And now you got your $100 million fully guaranteed because you finished signing his name on the deal. So there are literally no worries. Now, all you can think about if you're Brock Purdy is how do I get better? And how do I, mentor the young people and all that stuff, which he did talk a lot about actually in all of his media sessions. He's talked about wanting to do that. But then in the 95-7 the game interview, Michelle, they got to the last common criticism of Brock. Playing in rain, playing in snow, playing in the elements. And Brock did not leave a whole lot of doubt on what he thinks of this criticism.
That's their opinion. Green Bay, it was raining. We won the game. Seattle, my rookie year, started raining. In the playoff game, we won that game. the Buffalo game was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, just the snow and the blizzard and all that. Like that was on another level. But I don't know. Outside of that, man, I don't buy into it. I feel like I can play in any condition and find a way to win, and I've proven it too.
Has he though? That's the thing. If you have to say I've proven it, not to go Game of Thrones on you, but any man who says I am the king is no true king. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, and he definitely hasn't proven it, right? Because when you talk about the Bills game being, the weather it was, I mean, his numbers were atrocious, and he did also get injured in that game, but still. And then you talk about that Rams game where it was a downpour, his numbers were atrocious. Now, I do think most quarterbacks, their numbers are going to be atrocious in that type. I do think he gets hated on too much because both those games, it was not just bad weather. It was absolutely atrocious weather, right? And Matthew Stafford was, he should have thrown 5 interceptions in that game, but the 49ers just could not catch an interception to save their life. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to hate on Brock too much for those 2 games, but they were hideous and horrible. So there is no being like, I think I performed fine in those games. No, you performed terribly. And most quarterbacks would. So I don't think it's something that it's that big of a deal, but he does have to prove that if it is not going to be perfect weather conditions and there is going to be a little bit of rain, that he can get it done. He just hasn't had much experience with it though in the NFL. I mean, he's played a lot of, San Francisco in the first place almost has always beautiful weather.
He can say like, hey, we've won those games, which is true, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily played well or played up to the standard that he himself set. But
they didn't. I mean, they got destroyed by the Bills and they lost to the Rams. I mean, we're talking about last year's games. What other games is he saying were bad weather games that they won?
Well, he mentioned the Green Bay playoff game. It was raining throughout that game. But here's the thing. When it was raining in that game, he wasn't playing well.
Yeah, they almost lost that game, right? Like, well, that was a bad performance for most of the game.
It stopped raining and he picked it up a little bit. That's the thing. There's such a difference in his play when it rains and not necessarily torrential rain. The playoff game against the Seahawks was rainy early on. He was not great early on. It took him a while to get going. And when it dried out, he played better. I don't know what it is, but there is no question about it. He doesn't play the same in the rain. He can hey, they won some of those games, great, but his actual play is different. The game against the Browns where Jake Moody misses the bunny kick at the end that would have won them the game. It was raining then. He didn't play well then. Now the Browns have a great defense, so that's probably part of it, but the facts are the facts. And I've seen Brock put the glove on, come out for a drive with a glove on his hand in the rain to try and then he took the glove off. So clearly he recognizes it's a thing. And to me, he has not proven it. I don't know about you.
No, he definitely hasn't proven it. I would have liked an answer being like, some ways that he's going to improve upon that or work upon that. I don't really know how you do that. But I don't love that. He's just like, oh, no, I don't have an issue with that. Like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm the biggest Brock Purdy supporter out there, right? Like, I support everything this man does or says. I try to back him even after a bad game. Like, I always say people are over-exaggerating for the most part. But my dude, you don't play great in bad weather.
Yeah. And I think until he has a good game in bad weather, when it's raining, not just a game where it rains, he plays bad, and then it stops raining and he plays better. I'm saying like a game in the bad weather where he performs, I'll have questions about it.
And it doesn't even have to, we're not asking for 3 touchdowns and, a 70 completion percentage and 100% or 100 passer rating. It's just don't be atrocious, right? Like, don't be terrible. Almost no quarterback is going to go out there and have an amazing game and windy, rainy games. Again, Matthew Stafford played a worse game in that Rams game, Rams versus 49ers, that the Rams ended up winning, 12-6. Stafford played a worse game than Purdy that game. It's just that, the Rams came down with Purdy's interception and Deebo Samuel dropped the ball and Matthew Stafford was just getting very, very lucky. And a lot of that is going to come down to luck in these bad weather games too. What way does the ball bounce and how, it changes a lot of things when the ball's that slippery.
Yeah, but I also saw Matt Stafford and I agree. He was not good in that game either. But in the fourth quarter, when the Rams needed a play, I saw him launch a 51-yard deep ball to Puka Nacua to get them down in field goal range and give them the lead. Like, again, I need to see more from Brock. And he doesn't really have to say publicly, like, I admit it, I'm not good in weather. He doesn't have to admit any of that. Just fix it. Just improve it. And that's definitely an area of improvement for Brock Purdy. But all in all, I love the things he's saying about the vibes in the team, about what he needs to do this offseason and his own performance. I love all of that. He's checking all the boxes that you want to see a franchise quarterback check.
Absolutely. And I love what a great leader he is. That's, if you're going to pay a guy this much money, you want him to be a super strong leader. Again, I feel like Trevor Lawrence is not a very great leader, at least from what I see. Maybe he's fantastic. Who knows, behind closed doors. But again, when you look at the payments and you're seeing these guys get paid, it's like Brock Purdy is right up there in terms of leaders. That's why I loved Jalen Hurts so much. And that's why I was cool with the Eagles paying him, because you knew he was always going to work to get better and always work for his teammates to get better. And that's exactly how I feel about Brock Purdy.
I do not understand how Trevor Lawrence is making more money than Brock. I don't get it. There is nothing to me that Trevor Lawrence has done on any level that's better than what Brock Purdy has done. And yet, it just goes to show how good that Brock Purdy contract is for the Niners.
They got a good deal. They really did.
Then there's Dak Prescott chilling up there at $60 million.
Wild.
What a world. Anyway, okay. Real quick before we move on to Fred Warner, I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to talk to what some people consider the biggest Brock Purdy hater next week. Chris Sims is going to join me. He just talked about Brock Purdy because of the contract and all that. We'll talk about some of Chris's criticisms of Brock Purdy, but he's going to join me next week on Tuesday. Not sure if that's going to be live or not, but anyway, I'll have the interview. I'll throw it up. So if you have any questions you want me to ask Chris Sims, leave a comment on the video. And
ask him why he liked Deshaun Kaiser more than Patrick Mahomes.
Wait a minute. No, he loved Mahomes.
He had Kaiser as his quarterback one that year. I just remember.
Are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that he was texting Kyle Shanahan, begging him to look at Mahomes and scout Mahomes.
I like Chris Sims. I'm just messing.
He has said it privately to me and publicly, and I'll never forgive Kyle Shanahan for not doing that, by the way. But yeah, if you have something you want me to ask Chris, let me know, and I'll be happy to do that. And I appreciate his time because he gets a lot of requests, and I know that because I used to get those requests when I produced his show. All right, let's move on to Fred Warner, the linebacker everybody knows and loves. His contract was official. He is on the books. It's a 3-year deal. Now, I haven't seen the nitty-gritty details of the contract, which I would very much like to see, because clearly, as we have seen with the Niners, usually those deals favor the 49ers. But just Fred Warner in general, I think that people, they know he's good because he's got a good reputation. He's a good guy. But I don't think people realize how good Fred Warner is. And I know you were digging into some of the numbers. What'd you find out?
Well, there's a lot to go on Fred Warner. But since 2018, since he entered the league, he leads all linebackers with 53 passes defense. So you love that he could be a good corner or a good coverage back, right? But he also is the only player with 10 plus sacks, 10 plus interceptions, 10 plus forced fumbles, and 50 plus passes defense since entering the league. This just shows that he could do it all, right? It's not just one skill set he has. He's very all around. But even just over the last 3 years, he leads all linebackers in interceptions with 7, in passes defense in 28. He is tied for 3rd with 9 forced fumbles. And I just think his all pros also just kind of show just how good he is. He has 4 first-team all pros already. And that's already the 5th most among all linebackers since 2000, right? He's behind Patrick Willis and Luke Kuechly, thank you, by 1. They both had 5 in their careers, and he's only 1 away. And then he's only 2 away from Bobby Wagner and Ray Lewis, who were in the league forever, right? So I just think he is on the path to a Hall of Fame career, and he's well worth this contract.
Yeah, if there's anybody you don't have to worry about on the 49ers, it's Fred Warner. The man literally played on a fractured ankle for almost the entire year last year.
In a year where they had nothing to play for. That's what's the most dang, this guy's a baller. When they were losing games and their playoff hopes were so slim, he's still playing on a fractured ankle.
Yeah, the fact that he just didn't want to leave, basically, because he's the guy in practice that is on people, riding their ass, basically. Hey, you got to do this better. They always talk about the standard and all that. That's how you set the standard. When you're playing on a fractured ankle on a team going nowhere and you're still out there kicking ass, that says to the other guys, like, oh, you're hurt, you're a little banged up, get your ass out there. Like, if he's doing it, everybody else has to do it too.
And they need him to have such a good year this year. And they need his veteran and leadership, like experience so bad on this defense. He is going to have to, so much of the burden or just the weight of this defense is going to be on Fred Warner this year. And so I'm happy they paid him. He deserves it. And hopefully he steps up. But if that's how well he played last year, like it was a down year for him. He was missing some tackles and stuff like that. That's not usual for Fred Warner. But if he's doing that on a fractured ankle, like I'm not worried about Fred Warner whatsoever.
Before his ankle injury, I think his PFF grade was like 94 point something. He was dominating. Like he had even elevated his game to a higher level than he was normally at because of the way he was making game-changing plays, forcing fumbles, interceptions, things like that. He didn't always do that, but the beginning of last year, he took it to a level that we hadn't seen. And if he can get back to that, that's going to be amazing. And it's sort of crazy to think that the 49ers defense kind of rests on the fortunes of two ankles, Fred Warner's ankle and Mykel Williams' ankle, right? Everybody says, oh, Mykel Williams could have been even better if he wasn't playing on a hurt ankle all year. Well, let's hope that two ankles are healed up and ready to go because we need them.
They desperately need it. If Mykel Williams can show up and be what the 49ers apparently expect him to be, taking him that early in the draft, and then you get anything out of your young defensive tackles, I do think this can be an all right defense. But then because then you go to the linebackers playing with Fred Warner. It's like, oh, that's weak. And then you go to the safety position. There's still safety veterans out there. I need them to sign somebody, please.
They could add a safety, and honestly, if they could add like a situational pass rusher, Von Miller, I think, is still out there, right? Or Zadarius Smith. I think
Zadarius Smith is still out there. I would love that.
Like, I just feel like that would be so just like the cherry on top of the sundae, right? Because you just take a little more pressure off people. You take pressure off of the situational pass rusher that you're bringing in. Because they're not going to be asked to be a 3-down guy, right? Like, hey, dude, you have one job. You come in here on passing downs. You disrupt the hell out of stuff, basically. You put them in a position to succeed. Now, all of a sudden, you don't need as much from Mykel Williams and Alfred Collins and CJ West. If they're just good run stuffers, then it makes it so much easier to live with that.
They need to add at least 3 more bodies, I think. 3 more, like, on defense. Oh, like they probably use more, but like when you're looking at the edge rusher, I completely agree with you that they need to add more of a situational guy. They need more depth there, especially after, just completely moving on for Drake Jackson 100%. And there are guys out there that they can add. But when you look at this, there's still so many veteran safeties that would be better, way better than Jair Brown or Malik Mustafa. And they're available out there. And maybe they're just waiting because they know their prices are going to go down. But you got Marcus Williams and Justin Simmons and Julian Blackmon and Quandre Diggs, like even Jordan Poyer at his age. I think all of these guys would make me feel so much better about going into this year than just hoping that these two can develop. And then Mustafa has the injury too, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a question too. Now, we thought that maybe he's going to miss some time, and then his mom actually went on social media and was like, no, we're potentially hoping for week 1. Maybe he could be healthy by week 1, or, so that's like a different timeline. I do think that matters, but even if he is like relatively healthy week 1, I agree with you. Sign a veteran safety. They have the cap room. They've got like $40 million in cap room, so that's not an issue. And I think
it would be a 1-year deal, and they're not going to be that pricey. Like, same thing, like they can add a veteran edge rusher, a veteran safety, and it's going to take up maybe 15 million of their cap space, and you still have a lot more to work with if they wanted to. But yeah, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Matthew Judon, Von Miller. Von Miller's 36 years old. I do think he's kind of done so. Jadeveon Clowney, though, like they cannot just go in being like, okay, Mykel Williams, it's up to you to survive the whole 17 games too, which we know is really hard on rookies to not hit that wall, right? And you're gonna have to play all these snaps. They need to be adding people.
Frisco Shills, thank you very much for the super chat, says, how are the Niners rookies going to develop if the Niners continue to bring in veterans available in May? Look what happened with Devondre Campbell. The Niners took a 6-11 season. It didn't get playing time for Bethune, Winters, and Graham. Well, a couple of things. First, we're talking about a situational player. So this isn't someone that's going to be on the field, at least when it comes to pass rushing. They're not going to be on the field for the first 2 downs. So those other guys will have those opportunities to develop in those situations, I would say. That's how
And also having the veterans there will also help them develop. Like if they're splitting time with them and working with them, that hopefully you're bringing in leaders that will teach the younger guys. I don't think that hurts. And with safety, it's not about, they might not have, I mean, if Malik Mustafa's not even available, but also they need competition. You can't just be like, dudes, you just have the starting jobs. They're not good enough to not have competition. And right now, they're going into training camp with Mustafa probably won't even be playing whatsoever. But Jair Brown has zero competition for to be the starter or playing time right now. Like he has nothing to worry about.
And I do think the situations are a little different. It's easier to rotate defensive linemen and get snaps for everybody on defensive line. At safety, I do agree, like signing a veteran player would probably prevent younger guys from getting playing time that they might need. But here's the thing. When you have real serious questions about the younger guys just being any good, like you can't worry necessarily about the development. You just got to improve the depth on your team.
And it's not like they took these guys in the first or second round. Like these are already developmental guys in the first place. They're not supposed to just be handed the starting job. These are guys that were, you know, if they break out in the NFL, then they got to steal in the draft, right? That's really hopeful thinking that also think both of these guys could do that. And I'm not saying go spend a ton of money. If you add a Quandre Diggs or a Julian Blackmon, it doesn't mean they have to be playing over these guys all the time. Now, if you did add a Justin Simmons, yeah, he's going to expect to be starting and on the field all the time. But also, good, he's a really good safety. So can they add Justin Simmons? That would be great. Because right now, he is, last year he made $7.5 million. How can they not do that? Come on.
And we've seen them have good luck with veteran safety signings before. Tashawn Gibson worked out for them, obviously.
And they desperately need playmakers to come down with, and Justin Simmons is the best, like, he's just always in the right spot for interceptions. So that this is what they need. I would sign Justin Simmons, sign Zadarius Smith, and all of a sudden you're feeling so much better about this defense. And it's not to say that the younger guys can't step up, but it's not putting so much pressure on so many young guys needing to step up.
It would feel a little more complete. Like the roster would feel a little more complete if they made a couple of additions. And as Jonathan O'Rourke points out, D. Winters didn't get playing time because he kept getting hurt. That's right. He couldn't finish a defensive series. He was always coming off. So, yeah, I don't blame Devondre Campbell for that. I blame the fact that D. Winters had his own problems. And Kyle Shanahan has talked expressly about that. Like, hey, he's got to get his body in a position to be able to withstand the rigors of a full season, or at least a full defensive series.
Yeah, if you can't even make it through a series, we're going to depend on him to be starting 17 games next year. And right now we are.
Right. Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Heineman on Twitch says, washed vets. Again, we're not asking these guys to be world beaters, but if
how are they washed vets, though? They've been highly productive.
If they're better than the guys that you have, like a washed vet could be better than a young player that stinks. You know, like that's the other thing. Get them in and let's get the competition. Like you always talk about, Michelle. You could sign Justin Simmons, and you know what? If all of a sudden Malik Mustafa or Jair Brown is beating them out, great. You know, like that's a good problem to have.
Like, but Collins, Zadarius Smith wash is crazy. He had 9 sacks last year playing with 2 different teams, 10 sacks in 2022. He didn't play in 2021, but 2020, 17 or 12 and a half, 2019, 13 and a half. Like anytime this dude is healthy and he's out there, he's a producer. And again, he's a pure pass rusher. Don't get me wrong. You don't want him out there all the, if he was this good of a sack guy and, or, you know, a run defender, he would have already been signed. But this is they took Michael Williams to be this hopefully the starter. I mean, you don't take a guy 11th overall not to expect him to be a starter, but Zadarius Smith to be able to just come in as a role player and a pass rusher, that'd be so huge for this team. I think that would be such a huge signing. And he's a cheap vet. Like there's just no reason not to do it.
Playoff experience. And also the thing with everyone, what is everybody saying about Michael Williams, right? Like, hey, he needs to develop more of a pass rushing skill set. Well, would be nice to have another pass rusher in there that could maybe teach him some things. And I know he has Nick Bosa, but you can never have enough. Like, just have multiple guys that can teach him things. That's fine too. So yeah, I'm on board. Jason Aponte has been campaigning for them to sign Zadarius Smith like every show, I feel like. So he's on board with you, Michelle.
And I'm a big Julian Blackmon fan, and he's only 26 years old. I think I would go Julian Blackmon and Zadarius Smith. Go for that.
They have the cap space if they want to make that move, and they have the cap space, Michelle, and this is where I think it could get really interesting. They have the cap space to add anybody they want to add during the season. And we've talked about it, the schedule, right? The schedule can easily shape up to where the 49ers are looking really good. What if they get to the middle of the season, Michelle, and they're like, they have like 1 or 2 losses, right? What if they're just beating the brakes off of people? But it's like, oh, you know what? Brandon Ayuk is not really coming along as well as we would have hoped. And maybe Ricky Pearsall is not coming along. And Demarcus Robinson, we don't know. If they want to go out and trade for a wide receiver, they can do it. Or if they want to go out and trade for, what if Trey Hendrickson sits out and all of a sudden the Niners don't sign a pass rusher to begin the year and Trey Hendrickson is sitting out? They have the cap space to trade for him and pay him if they want to do it.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. You do like to have that flexibility. Absolutely. I will say, looking at wide receivers right now, any interest in adding Keenan Allen? And it's not to take away from Pearsall at all. I don't think it would take away his playing time at all. But instead of having, relying on Demarcus Robinson, or I know you still, love your Jacob Cowing, but I do think Keenan Allen, that veteran presence for Brock Purdy, especially as like Brandon Ayuk, we don't know if he'll be good at all this year, right? We don't know how long he's going to take to come back fully from this ACL tear. I wouldn't mind adding Keenan Allen to help Brock Purdy this year.
First of all, how dare you? I do love Jacob Cowing. And I don't know if it was Brock Purdy or George Kittle. Somebody said apparently he's bulked up this offseason. So I'm excited for that.
Eye roll, the longest eye roll I could do.
Yeah, I think Michelle's eyes just got stuck in the back of her head. But I think that the wide receiver, I think that Keenan Allen would stand in the way of the development of Pearsall or Cowing or Jordan Watkins, who they just drafted this year. I don't think I'm on board with you on that one. I think, although I would prefer Keenan Allen over Demarcus Robinson, just because Keenan Allen would be able to play the first couple of weeks of the season. So if I could have made that switch, I would have. But other than that, no, I don't want to see them out of it. But
don't you think Allen, Juwan Jennings, and Pearsall, and then Kittle is so much better than what they would have out there without Allen?
Yes. Allen is more of a proven guy. I'm rolling the dice on hope a little bit there. I will acknowledge that. But I would rather see it, man. Give me the young guys. Give me the guys that they invested in these guys for a reason. Unless they just can't pick wide receivers at all. Like, what the hell? You drafted Pearsall in the first round. You drafted Cowing in the 4th round. You drafted Jordan Watkins. I can't remember if he was a 3rd. I think he was a 4th round pick, 5th round, whatever it is. Like, you drafted these guys to play. So let's see them play, damn it.
And they are going to play. I mean, well, but see, this is your thing. It's anytime they take a 3rd or 4th round guy, you're like, oh, they're going to be great. Like almost none of them are great. So again, having to rely on these guys taking a step forward. And it's not only now that we're hoping that Ricky Pearsall takes a step forward, right? And absolutely he should. He's a 1st round pick and he needs playing time. But then also being like, well, then also if our 3rd and 4th round guys can also hit, then we're going to be great. It's like hoping for all of this when you have all the hope on defense too. How would you not just feel much better about adding a veteran presence here in this room, even if it's not Keenan Allen? Because also I'm trying to think, like, let's say Jacob Cowing, doesn't take a big, massive, monumental step forward, right? Who's their speedster on this team? Who is making defenses scared? Who is getting other people open, even if they're not catching deep bombs, right? But who is actually making this defense scared deep when they're running routes? They don't have really one of those guys right now.
Well, Jordan Watkins ran a 4.37. So he would definitely be up there. And by
Is
the way,
he going to be allowed on the field? Because Shanahan rarely allows rookies on the field, and he was a 4th-round pick.
don't do the thing. Don't do the thing where you misrepresent my position, okay? I didn't say Jacob Cowing is going to be great or that these 3rd and 4th round guys are going to be great. I said I want to see them. That's the thing. Poor Jacob Cowing has that.
But maybe you don't want to see them, right? Because the coaches are seeing them in practice, and they're saying they're not good enough to be on the field. So I'm just going to have to trust the coaches. That
God. If to trust the coaches, Brock Purdy would have never seen the field if we trust the coaches. They don't know what the hell they're looking at all the time. Nobody's perfect. The coaches drafted these people. So if you're going to trust the coaches, let's see them on the field.
And we're not going to see Watkins very much because he's a rookie, and Shanahan will not allow that.
I agree. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. But I mean, he is a guy when you're just asking like guys that can run. Cowing, I think, is even faster than Watkins. I think Cowing ran like a 4.35 or 4.3.
Now he bulked up, so who knows?
You should.
It's that time of the season where everyone's in the best shape of their life.
Yes, that is true. And Brock, I think it was Brock mentioned Cowing, and he mentioned maturity, which I thought was really interesting too. I wonder if there was something with Jacob Cowing where he wasn't practicing hard enough or something. I don't know. And again, it was just a quick comment that Brock made in passing, but we were all sitting there wondering, like, why can't Jacob Cowing get on the field last year when they were so banged up? Chris Conley is out there. We're like, who the hell cares about that? But maybe that was part of it. I don't know.
I want to go in to John Lynch's office and just sit down with him and say, what are we thinking here? Who are we adding? Can we just add some people? Like, let's get the ball moving because it's stressing me out.
Nick Ellert, YouTube channel member, says, we heard about it. Kyle holding votes before the pick is in. Can we end the Kyle doesn't draft the later rounds? He's authorizing every pick. You have to hold Kyle responsible for everything, good and bad. He's the grand poobah in the 49ers organization. And until that changes, I put everything on him, good and bad. There was another comment I wanted to respond. Oh, here we go. Kenny on YouTube says, you want to trust the coaches for the young guys, but you're not trusting the coaches who apparently don't want to sign Allen. Maybe they do want to sign Allen. We don't know. I think that they're going to add a couple pieces before we get into the preseason. And so, I mean, I think they have to just to fill out the roster.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these veterans sit out there for a while because they're waiting for they don't want to if they're not going to make the money that they want, right? They're not going to take any contract low and then have to do all these OTAs and stuff. They're like, I'll just sit out and sign with the team later on. I'm going to sit out all this offseason programming because I'm not going to make the money I want anyways. I have offers. They're low. I'm just going to wait to take one until training camp hits. That's really what I'm sure Keenan Allen has offers, but why sign somewhere when you're not going to make the money you want, right? And have to do all this work. So that's a lot of that with the veterans. I'm not worried that like Keenan Allen still put up 9 touchdowns last year with the Bears.
Wow. Kenny points out correctly. Thank you, Kenny, that Juwan Jennings couldn't make the roster in year one. He was, they cut him and they put him on the practice squad. So there you go, Michelle. Sometimes year one guys end up being pretty good.
It's just crazy to call Keenan Allen wash. Sorry, I just didn't even listen about Juwan Jennings. This Keenan Allen hate is crazy. I mean, caught 7 touchdowns last year. Caleb Williams only threw 20. And I think he missed a couple games too, Keenan Allen. The year prior, when he was the wide receiver 1 for his team with a good quarterback, 1,243 yards and 7 touchdowns. How is that a washed wide receiver when just 2 years ago, when he was the wide receiver 1 on his team, he put up 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns? That's just not washed.
Well, I didn't say he was washed.
Well, I'm blaming you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say he was washed, although I will say life comes at you fast in the NFL, so who knows? But I mean, he could have a thing where he's talked to teams and he's like, yeah, I'll sign, but I'm not going to do it for 3 weeks.
But why would you? Like, I think that would be stupid of Keenan Allen to sign right now. And then also, you never know when a better offer might come, right? A guy could get injured and you're waiting for a better offer. Maybe if one doesn't come, it's not going to be a worse offer. And then you got to skip all this work throughout the offseason. Like, that would make no sense for guys like a Keenan Allen that's why Zadarius Smith is still out there. That's why Matthew Judon is still out there. Like, That's why these older veterans who everyone knows exactly what they're going to get from them, and they don't really need this offseason programming. That's why they're still there. Now, if they're going to get paid $20 million a year, right, then they'll sign because they're like, yeah, I'll sign and do this work. But if they're not going to get paid what they want anyways, that's why they're still sitting out there.
Hyman on Twitch is the one you want to deal with,
Yeah.
Michelle. He
And then he said fantasy scouting, which maybe, all right, but still.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so don't go and be all likable now because Michelle is ruining my personal life. And just so everybody knows, I know that I see the comments in the chat. Oh, Rob's growing facial hair. Rob's growing facial hair. One of the first people I asked when I started growing facial hair, I said to Michelle, what do you think? Michelle's a woman. I value her opinion. I know she's not going to BS me. She said, I like it. Looks good. I was like, oh, all right, great. Maybe I'll keep it around for a little while. Then all of a sudden, last night, I'm sitting around watching a movie on Netflix, and I get a text, and it's Michelle, Michelle's wife, Kate, and my wife, Erin, are all on the text chain. And it says, if the Astros beat the Mariners tonight, Rob's got to shave the goatee. And all these texts are coming in from everybody. Yes, absolutely. Seconded. What are you doing to me, Michelle?
I actually don't mind the goatee. I think it looks good, but I think it'd be hilarious. And I also know Erin, your wife, hates it. So I'm trying to have her back. And I'm an Astros fan and you're a Mariners fan. And the Astros were destroying the Mariners last night. So much fun. They won 9-2. And I just wanted to talk some crap. And I know you want to keep the goatee and I know Erin wants it off. So I thought, how fun to say if they lost that you have to shave it. But I see it's still on. So you did not fall through.
First of all, I didn't check this. Did you text as the game was going on and the Astros already had the lead?
Oh, yeah, they were killing them already. It was like 7-2 when I texted.
You are the worst. That is so, and all of a sudden, Kate comes in off the top rope and is just like, yep, get rid of it. I'm like, what? I didn't even ask you anything.
All right, well, let's do it again tonight. If the Astros win, it's gone.
It's a 4-game series. If the Astros win this series, I'll think about it.
Okay.
Wow, these people are mean. Frisco Shill says it's like Rob stuffed his face into chocolate cake and forgot to wash it.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Bay Marin says, Rob, trust your wife. Colin says, facial hair. I thought Lebin rubbed your face in the dirt. Boy, what are we just roasting me today? Thanks. That's
amazing. I think you need to grow out the full thing. But
yeah, I had another friend yesterday say that kind of facial hair went out in the 2000s. You got to grow the full beard.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it would look way better as a full beard. Yes.
I just got an email from the 49ers. They emailed me personally.
Yeah.
Just me, nobody else. This is all highly exclusive information. Media availability for OTAs. Thursday, May 29th. Kyle will speak. They'll have practice and players. Then June 3rd, it'll be coaches. So Saleh will probably speak, and sure Clint Kubiak will speak again. Oh, no. Saleh is going to speak on June 4th. My bad. Defensive position coaches and offensive position coaches on June 3rd. Then Saleh on June 4th. And then minicamp, of course, June 10th and 11th. So we're going to get into it. You got OTAs next week. Like, there's going to be little bits and pieces of news coming out. Get ready for a lot more Jacob Cowing hype, Michelle. Get ready for a lot more best shape of your life talk. It's coming, baby. The Trent Taylor Memorial Award will be given out.
What I want to hear is all about the young defenders. That's what I want to hear about.
And I'm sure we'll hear plenty of it. I hope that Alfred Collins actually gets out on the field because he didn't get out on the field for rookie minicamp because he was dealing with a calf thing. So I actually want to see him play with other humans because he's a freaking giant of a man. And I want to see if that actually translates because Javon Kinlaw was a giant of a man and we saw how that turned out.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything. You could be as fast and as strong as anyone. It doesn't mean you're a good football player.
And I will say this too. I think it was Kay Adams was at the rookie premiere. You know, they have all the rookies get together and they put the jersey on for the first time and they do a whole thing. And Kay Adams was there and she panned like across the field when all the rookies were on the field. And Michael Williams is a freaking among the rookies. Like he was towering over everybody. I was like, holy crap, this dude is a physical freak too.
And it makes you wonder why he couldn't do more against college students.
I don't know. I saw him dominate in college at certain times against when he was a true freshman and 18 years old. I saw him look pretty good. You're such a
Okay.
poo-pooer. You are. I've never seen the 49ers draft a rookie where you're like, that guy's going to be good. Never.
Hey, Trey Sermon, baby.
Right. That was the guy that you liked. What the hell?
No, I've liked other guys, but I did love Trey Sermon.
Give me names. I want names.
I don't know, but I don't know.
I'm trying to find the. I wish I had the Kay Adams video handy. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Let me give me a second to bring it up. There was only one other rookie I saw that was like almost as tall as he was, and it must have been Ty Warren, 84 for the Colts. I was like, damn, that guy's big too. All right, there we go. There it is at the beginning. There's Michael Williams. Look at he's towering over the rest of them. I was like, damn, this guy is a freaking giant.
Okay, but to be fair, because I just was like, who have I liked? But since I've been doing this podcast, their drafts have sucked. So I don't think that's really my fault that I haven't liked a lot of them. Like, who would you have liked me to like? I liked the Pooney pick last year. Love that. We both did. And he ended up being good. But like, I don't know who else you would have wanted me to be on.
That's a completely fair criticism, to be honest.
I started this with the Trey Lance draft, and I did not like Trey Lance whatsoever. I wanted them to take Justin Fields, which he hasn't been the best either. But I mean, Trey Lance has been a completely pointless pick. So yeah, that's the year I started, and since then there just have not been very many good draft picks.
You did join at a bit of a low point. John Hines on X says, Michael Williams over or under 5.5 sacks this year? It's a good question. What do you think?
He's going to get plenty of pass rush opportunities. It better be over.
He's going to get opportunities. Can he actually? Well, and here's the other thing too, right? Does he get one of those games like a Drake Jackson game against the Steelers to start the year in 2023? He got 3 sacks in that game. None of them were his fault, basically. Like the quarterback just ended up right where he was and he made the play. If you get one of those games from Michael Williams, then he could easily go over this number.
If they don't add a veteran like a Zadarius Smith and he's out there for 500 pass rush snaps and he doesn't get 5.5 sacks, and he is a massive, massive bust at the 11th overall pick.
I'm going to take the over. It might only be 6, but I'm going to take the over. I wonder.
I think he can get to 7, 8.
They probably don't have an over-under for that on DraftKings right now. I'm trying to look and see. That would be a really good, interesting bet to make, especially now too. Sometimes you're better off, if you feel really confident, you're better off making that bet now, because if we get into like a preseason game and all of a sudden he has 3 sacks, that number is going to change. So if you can find it, maybe you make it now, but damn, he better go over 5.5 sacks. Bosa had 9 his rookie year, I believe. And I agree. Frisco Shills, looking at sacks alone is a terrible method for evaluating DL. Yeah, we know, but we're just talking about one specific stat category there. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Michelle, it's a holiday weekend. I know you got like brunch plans. What's going on?
Brunch, boats, all the fun stuff.
Brunch, boats, and booze. That's what you got going on.
Absolutely.
Too bad it's going to be like 60 degrees where I live, so that's not a whole.
It's like 90 here, so.
No, it is 50 degrees here, Michelle. I got the thick flannel shirt on. It's the end of May, damn it.
Yeah, it's real hot here.
Well, great. It's great for you in Houston. I hope the Astros never win a game the rest of the year.
They're going to win the next 3 games, and you're going to be shaving off that goatee.
We'll see. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, everybody. Please enjoy responsibly. Do not drive drunk. There are ride services you can call. Please protect yourself, protect everybody else, and we will talk to you on Monday.
Bye, y'all.